Okay, before we get too far into this, I would just like to point out that this movie review contains spoilers, and I will give you the opportunity to avoid those spoilers when the time to talk about them comes up, much like I did in my review of Eli, but I will also be providing a very general spoiler-free review at the beginning, so you'll know when to quit watching when, I give you the cue to say it's okay. In the meantime, I just saw The Hunt. The Hunt. If ever there was a movie whose backstory was honestly more interesting than the movie itself, it's definitely this one in recent years. And allow me to explain. This movie was originally supposed to come out in September of 2019. Unfortunately, a very grave incident happened at an El Paso Walmart. And as a result of that, coupled with Donald Trump taking to television assuring everyone that movies like this are bad, very, very bad, the movie was canceled. Most likely, it was going to be getting the same treatment that a movie by the name of The Interview got many years ago, where everybody thought we were going to see this in theaters, but then some incident happened that caused the company to say, nah, we can't afford to put this in movie theaters. So instead, they put it on Netflix. And that was kind of what we thought The Hunt was going to be. However, after a few months had gone by and all the controversy had died down, they set a new release date for the movie, somewhere around March, as I remember. Unfortunately, that same weekend the movie was supposed to come out was the same weekend the coronavirus hit the scene, and next thing you know, everybody is quarantining, movie theaters are being shut down, and nobody's allowed to leave their house or else they get their ass kicked. If I didn't know better, I would say this was God's way of telling me that you don't want to see this movie. Trust me, you really don't. Unfortunately for God, I'm fucking stupid. And when I finally got enough money to where I could afford to blow a few bucks on a PlayStation Network rental, I ended up looking into The Hunt at long last, and honestly, I liked it, but I was keeping my expectations pretty low. Let's be honest, guys, if you were expecting this movie to be high art or some type of brilliant political commentary that you've never heard before, prepare to be disappointed. This movie is pretty goddamn shallow. I remember this Flash cartoon that a friend of mine showed me once. It was something like, what was that thing called again? It was like something to do with like arguing with straw men or arguments between straw men or something like that. You basically had a scarecrow on one side who was arguing all these exaggerations of what people think the left sounds like. And then you had a scarecrow on the other side who was arguing stereotypes about what everybody thinks the right sounds like. And they're just kind of going off about it, like they go off on issues like ISIS and the whole, should transsexuals be allowed to use the bathroom that their gender is as opposed to what gender they were born with kind of issue, stuff like that. And to be honest, the portrayals of most of the characters in The Hunt, regardless if they're the hunters or if they're the hunted, kind of reminded me of that. When you realize who the main character is and who the main villain is, however, it becomes pretty clear that this whole left versus right debate that's going on in the movie is really not what you think it is. It is not really the motivation for anything going on, however. And that's about as far as I can get into the thing without getting into spoiler country. Overall, it's loud, it's dumb, it's not as deep as anybody thought it was gonna be, and I liked it. Overall, I give the movie 3 hats out of 4. And now we head into spoiler country, so I'm just gonna wait for everybody who doesn't want the movie spoiled for you. In the meantime, it's time for a Pepsi break. Hashtag not sponsored. Okay, that's about enough of that. Let's get into the real meat and bones here. The main villain of this story is not interested in the whole left versus right debate necessarily. She does kind of indicate that she's on the left and that she hates Donald Trump and hates conservatives, but Her main motivation for taking part in the hunt has more to do with one very specific person who got put in the hunt, and she wants that bitch dead. Unfortunately, that bitch also happens to be the toughest person they recruited in the entire hunt, and ends up making it all the way to the final boss of sorts, wherein it is revealed that after all of this struggle and after all of this turmoil, they ended up picking the wrong person entirely. It ends up being a classic case of, oh, that crystal spells her name with a K. And at that point, I swear to God, I just lost it. I just lost it. I had to actually pause the video and I just burst out laughing. It's like, no way, you did this. You can't be serious. You know what? Bravo. You actually elevated this movie to a 3 out of 4 as a result of that. Thank you. That was actually what made the movie worthwhile to me. I mean, it was already okay. It was definitely looking like a 2 out of 4, but then that one major mishap that explains so much. You know, it's like, oh man, brilliant. At least that's what I thought anyway. I mean, brilliant in all the ways that made me laugh and made me think, okay, you know what? I think the only other time a twist like that saved a movie from a mediocre review was probably Assassination Nation, which I did a text review of back in the day, and unfortunately that website no longer exists, so I can't link it. Really unfortunate. I really should have saved those old reviews, but in any case, I talked about Assassination Nation, and this movie was so close to getting a 1 out of 4, but then it got to the big twist, and oh my god, that was so funny. It was so funny. It's like the build-up, it was like the Aristocrats in a way. Just all this horrible, idiotic stuff happening on camera, building up to an ultimate punchline that's just, you know what? 3 out of 4. That's basically the hunt for me in a nutshell. It's just, it was all building up to one punchline like that, and I genuinely enjoyed it. So overall, it was an alright movie. I really enjoyed it. And the little twist at the end was ultimately what bumped this thing up even higher than it probably would have gotten otherwise. I like this movie. Like I said, 3 hats out of 4. And that's going to do it for this movie review. Come back next time when I have more movie reviews for your viewing pleasure. In the meantime, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out my other movie reviews, and really check out the channel in general for more Tommy Teal Hat flavored goodness. Till next time, y'all.